Hey guys, so I'm going to try and make this as realistic as possible. This is my Elmira. It has a propane attachment on the side that allows you to cook in the summer and do canning and things like that without heating your house up with the wood heat. What you hear in the background is the dishwasher. I have it on the Santa rinse cycle, which means it just sanitizes everything in there and it heats everything up. So I've got my canning jars in there. We're going to do some canning of the roosters that we have today, and instead of doing plucking and things like that, we're just going to skin them. I'm going to cut off all the pertinent meat, and we might just, I feel like such a quitter. Instead of making bone broth out of it, we might just give it to the cats. Okay, so what do you use to kill the chickens?
So first we catch them, and then we use bush pruners, and Kaya holds their head down while I cut their neck, their
spinal cord,
their neck, so that and then we hang them upside down so that they can bleed out, and if they want to flap, they can flap.
Since they think they're still alive, even though they're dead. And then if we're plucking them, we pluck them, and if we're skinning them, we skin them, and then we bring them into mom.
When we pluck them, we dip them in almost boiling water, but not quite. And then the feathers come off real easy. But today we're gonna try skinning them, and so we're gonna do the same process in killing them, but we're gonna do skinning instead of
Plucking since
plucking.
we normally do.
Okay, so what you need to be careful of is that you don't want your jars to crack. So you don't want to go from cold to hot or from hot to cold. It's just like working with wool. If you want it to felt, you go from hot to cold and cold to hot, and it just messes things up. So don't break your jars. If your jars are cold, start with cold water. If your jars are hot, start with hot water. These are cold pack, and so that means the meat inside is cold. So I couldn't put cold meat into hot jars and then expect it not to kind of mess things up. So everything's cold, and we're going to go ahead and put the lid on and get started with the pressure canning. So this is what I have left over. It was harder to get the drumsticks to fit inside the jars and still leave the amount of headspace. You need an 1.25 inches of headspace at the top. And so the drumsticks didn't want to fit in. Those are some long drumsticks. And so we're going to cook those for lunch. I was thawing this to cook for lunch, but instead we'll do this. We'll put that back in the freezer. Okay, so this means that there's no pressure. It's fully depressurized. Okay, it says that if you don't do this right, you're going to have all the moisture removed from your jars. So, I think we're good to go. Ouch. Now, I should never undo these unless I have double checked. First, I unscrewed it, no steam. Then I lifted this up, no steam, there's no steam. No steam. If there's no steam, there's no pressure on the inside. So I'm perfectly safe to take it off now. It's at 0. It is always nice to have a working surface. This works really well in the summer. And I really hope I had that turned on while I was showing you how to depressurize it. If I didn't, every time when the pressure goes down to 0, you twist this to allow steam out. You lift the knob up to allow steam out. You want to make sure that it's really depressurized before you take that lid off. I'm taking all of my hot jars out of my dishwasher where they were in the Santa rinse. All right, hot to hot, hot bone broth, hot jars. One misconception I had when I was pressure cooking or pressure canning the first few times was that you needed to have water that covers the jars. With hot pack canning, the water needs to cover the jars. With pressure canning, it doesn't. You need 1 inch, a minimum of 1 inch of water in the bottom for pressure canning. For hot pack canning, the water, you have a fill line that you put that is on the canner, and that tells you where to fill the water, and then you put your jars in, and then it covers the jar lids. And so that's one of the differences between pressure canning and hot pack canning is the level of water necessary. Not the canner, honey.
Well, Mom, but at the cooker, I just get so scared. I thought mine is making hissing noises, Mom. I'm getting worried.
Oh, was that broth?
Mm-hmm. Oh. We took all the spines and everything that was left over that wouldn't fit in the jars for the meat. Mm-hmm. And I just put an onion and a couple carrots and some celery in, turned it into broth, and now I can just
good broth too.
Use it for gravies and all that kind of thing. Okay guys, there we go. We have 7 pints, or not pints, we have 7 quarts of broth and 7 quarts of meat. These were cold packed, these were hot packed, and 75 minutes on these, 25 minutes on these at 13 pounds pressure. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks for popping in. If you have any questions, let me know. And I highly recommend the Blue Ball canning book, and make sure to look at all your instructions on your canner. It's really just about being educated on how to use it. It is a tool. Make sure your seals, your gaskets, everything is working. Have your pressure tested every once in a while, and you should be good to go. Thanks for checking in. We'll talk to you later.